The Bears, Vegas has them at 7.5 wins. That's a big improvement from last year where they went 3-14. Second year of Justin Fields, Matt Eberflus. Vegas says 7.5 is the over-under. Ryan, I give you the floor first. What are you thinking about the Bears?
Is it bad that when I heard the line for this year and I went back and looked and see what they finished up last year at 3-14, I felt like they won more than that. Is that strange? But I really feel like they won more than that.
I think it's just a product of how many people are kind of talking and buzzing about them. And I think it's the Justin Fields is such a crazy good runner. I think it almost elevates it.
Well, look, you got a lot of hype behind Justin Fields right now. And, I mean, Chicago's acting like he's their savior. And he could be. I just haven't seen the facts on the field yet. However, he is one of the best runners in the league. He's probably 2, maybe 3 behind Lamar Jackson. And no, he's probably just number 2. He's behind Lamar Jackson. Finishing 3-14 in the season is absolute garbage. But I'm looking at this schedule, and NFC in general, the NFC North in general, they don't have a tough schedule, any of the teams.
Not really.
However, I do think this is the line that is the closest for me. So this is the hardest one for me to go over or under on. I think they kind of nailed it. I think they nailed it right on the money here.
Wow. Okay.
So I had them winning 8 games this year. And so with that, I'm going to take the over. I think the rest of them, looking at these Vegas odds, I think the rest of them kind of, it's easier for me to pick over or under on those. This one was tough, but since I had them at 8, I'm going to have to stick with my guns. Look, they have a few good pieces, especially on this defense.
Yeah, they do.
And offensively, adding DJ Moore was a huge help throughout the offseason. That was the biggest move on this Chicago team, period.
Without a doubt. Yeah, the way they moved out of the first pick to get that haul from Carolina, to get DJ Moore. I mean, the one thing I'll say is Ryan Poles, the GM, he has a vision for this team. Like, he's overhauled the team. He is putting them in the right direction. Everybody who sees him, talks to him, believes in him. It's got to be refreshing as a Chicago fan, whether it works or not, just to see someone actually putting heart and effort into it and addressing these needs, like DJ Moore, because that's a big addition. When you had Chase Claypool, who was a big disappointment last year, he's going into a contract year this year, so maybe he'll perform. They still got Mooney, who I actually liked, but DJ Moore is going to be the guy for Justin Fields, and it's the GM. It's the coach, it's the organization saying to Justin Fields, no more excuses. Like, let's see what you can do.
Sure. The halfback field's got to worry a little bit. Losing David Montgomery, Deontay Foreman was, I'll take it or leave it. Really, I think Khalil's probably going to be the lead back here, obviously. And
yeah, Khalil Herbert is like the guy they're probably counting on in the running back position, right? Like, they kept him. That's why they let Montgomery go. They're like, okay.
Let's talk about this defense a little bit, though. One of my guys coming over to the Bears, Tremaine Edmonds.
That's huge.
That was I miss him already. I mean,
yeah.
So and then they got TJ Edwards as well.
Career year with the Eagles last year, yeah.
So this is going to be a stellar defense, in my opinion. I don't know what's your evaluation on the defense. I'm interested to see your take on it, because I'm looking at all these guys here, and I just don't see where there's I mean, maybe at cornerback is going to be your biggest weak link here, but looking at the line, looking at the middle of the field, I see nothing but Green, if you're looking at PFF, and Green always means good in most worlds.
The D-line concerns me the most because I don't know how much pressure they'll be able to get. They added Walker and Billings, they got Dexter, who's a rookie from Florida. I just don't know how much I can count on them. And I'll talk about Justin Fields in a second, but just because you mentioned the defense, I want to see how much improvement they make. Now, Ryan Poles, he addressed it. That's what this team did. They actually did address position of need. A team we're going to talk about later in the NFC North did no such thing, but the defense was so bad last year, and Matt Eberflus is a defensive coach. Like, he was a defensive coordinator. That's his specialty. I know it's his first year. Or last year was his first year. I know you're taking over a bad organization, but they were last in points per game, last in third down, last in pass rush. I know they liked talent, but you would think a head coach whose specialty is defense, has a better defense than basically the worst in the league. That does kind of concern me. Again, they've made the additions. Like you said, I think adding Tremaine Edmonds, other than DJ Moore, I think that's the biggest addition of the offseason for the Bears. I really do. I think that's a knockout.
You're adding star talent at the defensive position for linebacker there. So you can't leave it to the Bears to screw it up, but ultimately you shouldn't screw this up.
But I'm shocked that you've got them over 7.5. I'm shocked that you have them at 8.
Usually when you say you're shocked, you'll have them at like 7 wins. So how far down do you have them? Because
what's so funny is my notes right here. I can see them winning 7 games. I am fucking shocked.
I am appalled that you have them winning one more game than I do.
One more game than me. I don't know. I'm not saying I think they'll win 7 games. I think 7 wins is the ceiling. Okay? I think it's best case scenario. So they won 3 games last year. It's hard to really make a big jump. And even if they double it to 6, like that's a good season. That's an improvement. It really comes down to, I don't think Justin Fields is going to make the jump as a passer. I don't. I think he's an electric athlete. I think he's an incredible runner. What he had? Hold on. He had he had 1,100 yards rushing last year and 8 touchdowns, and he missed 2 games. So he is a freak, but he hasn't shown the ability to be a consistent passer in the NFL. And more so, what has concerned me is that he can't hit the layups. You know what I mean? Like he misses the open throw in the flat for a 3rd down conversion. He misses the drag route when you got to get it out quick. That's the stuff that I worry about. And quarterbacks don't ever have that big of a passing issue and then just jump to be the franchise guy. I think his rushing kind of is going to buy him a longer leash than it would most other guys, but I don't think he's going to make the jump people want him to or expect him to. I think he'll improve, but I just don't see how much. So I do think it's going to be under. I mean, if they can win 6-7 games, that's great, but I think that's really as far as they'll climb. They do have the 6th easiest schedule, but when I look at it, I just can't get them over that.
I don't want to say that Justin Fields is going to take this miraculous jump and be, the second coming, but what I will say is I think he's going to take a bigger jump than you expect. And I think he's going to surprise us a little bit in the passing game. I think he's going to have more holes opened up for him to run even more. Maybe not necessarily run more as far as like yardage, but as far as like designed runs, not just runs from a breakdown of the pocket.
Where he's just running around, scrambling, trying to make something happen.
The bulk of his yards, that's where it came from. And he's really good at improvising on plays. He's talented at that.
Yeah.
But, toward the end of the season last year, he did start to zone it in just a little bit. You could see that there was some hope at the end of that tunnel. But I don't think...
Hope at the end of the tunnel. No light, but there was hope.
Light and hope. So I do think that he takes a step forward. How big of a step that is yet to be determined.
I just don't feel like Justin Fields is going to make the leap needed to take them there. I don't know. I would love to know how much the defense improves, because the defense was, arguably worst in the league last year. One of, for sure. I mentioned the categories. How big of a leap does the defense take, and how much of a addition, how much of a help is it to add DJ Moore? Those are the 2 things that kind of swing the season for me, regardless of Justin Fields' play. But I tend to lean on the side of, if I haven't seen it before, I'm not going to gamble on it. And since I haven't seen it from Fields in the NFL, I'm not going to expect it. So I think if they win 7 games, they would be ecstatic. But 6 is probably more likely. But I think getting to 8 is a tough task, man.
And this is why when I opened, I said this was the toughest line to pick. And obviously our predictions say that, because you have them 1 game under and I have them 1 game over. So I'll take the over here. What I will say is they added a lot of good pieces this year. And out of all the teams in the NFC, I think they probably have the biggest bang for your buck as far as positions added.
Without question.
They were
without question.
Worst pass rush pretty much in the league last year, and adding Tremaine Edmonds is going to be a huge help, because I know he's sticky, man. Like, he can read these plays very, very well. He was great at the Bills doing it there, and then Edwards
for a linebacker, sorry to cut you off. For the linebacker, PFF had Edmonds as the 12th ranked linebacker when it comes to pass rush last year. So he's a good pass rusher when they do send him on blitz or anything. So I agree. By far the biggest overhaul of any of the NFC North teams that we're going to talk about. Ryan Poles is on a mission. I just don't know if they get there as quick as they expect to. Before we move on, though, what do you think, regardless of what Vegas says, regardless of where we're doing? By the way, turns out Vegas kind of good at this stuff.
Yeah,
what
they're all right.
What makes a successful season for the Bears? What win total do they have to hit for fans, organizations say it's a successful year?
I don't know that it's hard to judge with the Bears because they won 3 games last year. So a successful season is 4 wins. But what I think in my mind, if I'm a Bears fan and I'm sitting in the stands watching this team play week in and week out, I'm a season ticket holder. I paid a lot of money. I paid okay money to sit here, and I'm watching Justin Fields play on the field. If I win less than 6 games, it's a failure. I don't think we've had a good improvement. I think you need to at least double up the wins. But in my mind, 8 is that magical number for me. And I'm not just saying that because it's my over prediction.
Yeah.
I just think 8 wins is that signal that, hey, the Bears are on the right track. 8 and 9 sounds a lot better than 6 and 11, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It surely does. And it's a big improvement. Like you said, 6 wins is an improvement over 3. Like doubling your win total is a good thing. And the most important thing is they've added the talent. They've addressed the situation. I think, regardless of where we're going to stand with the quarterback at the end of 2023, I think at least they've got a GM that they're happy with. Matt Eberflus, the jury's still out. But if he turns the defense around, then he'll be safe there too. It's going to be fun to watch, man. I think I agree with you. 6 wins, I think everybody in the organization would say we're on the right path.